Hello everybody, and welcome back to another editing video. Now today I'm going to start in Lightroom and then I'm going to jump into Luminar 4 and then finish the photograph off in Photoshop. So this will give you an idea of the kind of workflow that I use now. And now this is a picture of Blaven on the Isle of Skye. It's just a shot of the deer fence going up towards the mountain. And this is the raw file. Now it's a little bit dark in places and the overall exposure isn't that balanced that great, but I haven't blown the highlights and I haven't really darkened the shadows too much when I took the shot, so it's a good place to start. Anyway, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to use one of my own presets what I've made, where it's just a basic start. It basically flattens the whole image and gets it at a good starting point so that I can start adding contrast and colour and stuff like that. So I'm just going to click the basic start, and there you'll see there that that's changed the picture quite a bit. So now I've added the basic start, which I'll talk about in another video, the settings that I use on that. Now I've used this basic start, I'm going to jump into Luminar 4 and start editing with Luminar 4. Right, so here we are in Luminar 4, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Pro tab because I want to alter the contrast of the shot. So I'm going to use advanced contrast. I use advanced contrast because I find that it gives us a lot of control over what I want to do with the photo. Now I'm going to start by taking the shadow contrast up. Now this takes the contrast out of the photo, out of the shadows, and then I use the balance to either take more out or add more in. And so for this one I want to darken the foreground a touch, but not too much, just so it puts a little bit of contrast into them shadows. Just like that. Oh, there, it's okay. Same with the midtones. Now the midtones, when you take these up, you'll see that they start to darken. The midtones start darkening. You can see in the clouds up here, all these midtones up there, they start to darken as it adds contrast into them. So it's just a case of experimenting and finding a nice medium of what you like for this shot. Nothing about there. And then just have a go with the balance, and you can add more contrast with that or take more away. Yeah, I think I'm about happy there. Yeah, it looks okay. The highlights, you can see that it's taking a little bit of the brightness out of the highlights, which I don't really want. I want the highlights to stay. So I'm not going to touch the highlights because they're fine as they are. So I'll leave that. Right, so now that's done, I'm going to go into the Essentials tab. And what I'm going to do in here is these bright spots on Blaven. It was like kind of early morning, not sunrise, it was after sunrise, but like kind of early morning, you still had like a nice golden light. So I want to sort of accentuate this light a little bit more and how warm it was and how colourful it was. So what I'm going to do is go into Landscape Enhancer, and I'm going to click on Golden Hour. Now this adds warmth and colour into the image. Now if I put it up, say 30%, you can see when I turn it on and off, it's added a touch of colour into the sky, which is nice, and it's added a bit more colour into these highlights here, which I like. But what I don't like is it's given us all this orange here, which is far too bright for me. It's just not my taste at all. That's too bright, too colourful. So to remedy that, I'm going to use a mask, and I'm going to use a gradient mask. And all you do with the gradient mask is the parts of the picture that you want to be affected by the golden hour filter, you just sort of drag your gradient, and as you can see, the top half of the picture where the gradient is strongest has been affected the most, so you've got the nice colour. If I turn it on and off, you've got the nice colour in the highlights on Blaven and in the sky, but it hasn't affected the foreground because I haven't dragged it down to affect the foreground. So you can see there, if I drag it all the way down, it hits the foreground again. So I'm just going to keep it at the bottom of Blaven there, so that you get some nice colour in these highlights here. And then again, you can just adjust that to your taste. Yeah, that looks nice. And now again, going to Ddl Enhancer. This Ddl Enhancer is one of the tools that I really love in Luminar 4. It just gives you that extra little bit of detail. Like say for instance, when I turn this small details up on here, I'll normally only go around about 20% on there, but you can see this the wire on the deer fence just starts to pop out, and all the twigs in the trees. If I turn it on and off, just watch the fence and watch the twigs on the trees, the amount of detail it brings out. So it just makes them pop, and that's what I really love about the Ddl Enhancer. You can overdo it. If you overdo it, it looks terrible. But if you keep it just in small increments, like say I like to use around about 20%, and that's fine for me. And now what I want to do is to go into the colour tab and go down to advanced settings. Now I want to just brighten this up a little touch, just the oranges in here a little touch, and so where the light's been hitting the landscape, and bring that out a bit. So if I go on the orange and turn the luminance up, you'll see that all the orange bits in the photo where the sun's been hitting the land, they brighten up. So I don't want to go too mad on that because I don't want to look false. Yeah, that's about it there. That looks nice. And right, I think that's about it. All I'm going to do with this in Luminar. If you feel like you've gone too far with your editing, you can always click on the layers tab up here, and you've got your adjustment layer here, and you can just turn off everything that you've done, or you can fade it. So if I feel like 100% is too much, which I think it is, then I'll just tone it down. Maybe it's about 80%. And then if we have a look at the before, which is just a flat image. I mean, it's nice, it's a nice image, but it's just a bit flat, not very colourful. And then the after image, you can see all these highlights have just been brought out. The colour's lovely, and it's just an overall better photograph, more contrasty. So now I'm going to jump back into Lightroom, and then we're going to go into Photoshop, and I'll show you how I finish the photo for social media, for Facebook and things like that. Right, so here we are in Photoshop, and now basically all I'm going to do in Photoshop is I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the photo and use the selection tool and get rid of any dust spots that I find in the sky, and I basically just ring them whatever I can find like this. Just draw a circle around them like that. Just like that. I think that's them all. Yeah, it looks like them all. And then Shift and F5, content aware, and that gets rid of them. And they're gone. And that's it. Now, that's the finished image now, because I won't do anything else in Photoshop. I'll save that off as a TIFF file, and then what I'll do for social media is I'll put my brush on, which has got me little signature there, for me little watermark, and then I just decide which side I want the watermark on, which it looks better at. I think it looks better in that corner there, and all I'll do is just stamp that down like that, and there's my watermark on. And now I'll resize. Now what I use to resize, you may notice I've got Riot Pro 3 on here. Riot Pro 3 is by Jimmy McIntyre. He's done some great things with luminosity masking and stuff like that. If you've never heard of Jimmy McIntyre, Google him and go to his website and have a look at his stuff. He does some phenomenal work, and he's got some fantastic tutorials using Riot Pro. And this is Riot Pro 3. I think it's up to Riot Pro 5 now, but I don't use that much in Riot Pro now. I used to use like the luminosity masks and stuff like that, but I've stopped using them. And all I do now, basically use Riot Pro for now, is to sharpen and resize for whatever size I want. So all I'll do here is I'll sharpen by width, and that brings this up. And for Facebook, I always sharpen at 960 on the longest side. I find that works really well. I read about it somewhere saying that was the best dimension to use. I tried it and my pictures look great on Facebook, so I'm happy with that. So just click that, and then it'll apply the effect. Just click yes, right, and there you go. Now sometimes the image is slightly too sharp and it looks a little bit over sharpened, so I'll just maybe normally turn this down to maybe 30% on this sharpen more layer, till I find a place that I think it looks good. It looks sharp but not overly sharp, and it's normally around about 30% like that. And then all I do there is flatten the image. Okay, and then I go in and I save it as, I export the image and save for web, and I save it as a PNG, which I find, again, I read about that saying that was the best format to use for Facebook and social media, so that's what I do. And like I say, I've never had any issues with photos looking really crap on Facebook. So there you go, that's all I'll do. Save that off, and that's it. And there's the finished image. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Just a little insight into how I edit me photos, the way I'm doing it now. If you did enjoy it and you got something out of it, then just give us a quick like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.